Hey guys, today I am taking this old wall planter that I picked up while Eric and I were browsing through an antique store, and I'm going to redo this. I'm thinking I'm going to give it kind of a French look to it, and so first thing I'm going to do is repaint it, then we're going to add some wording on the front, totally transform this piece. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, now for the first coat, I am going to use some Waverly chalk paint, and this is Ballet Slipper, and this is just going to give it a good solid base coat for me. Now that the chalk paint has completely dried, I am going to move on to the next step. And if you'll notice, I didn't do the very bottom of the inside because you're never going to see that, and I didn't do the back for the same reason. Now the final coat, I will paint the back the solid color, but there's no reason to do the pink and to crackle it. Alright, so what I'm going to use to apply my crackle is this crackle medium that I have, and I've had this bottle for years. It lasts forever. I've also seen people do it with glue, and so I believe that glue does work. I've never tried it myself, but what I'm going to do is simply put some of this into a cup, and the way you want to apply it is even strokes all the way across your project. It will crackle in the direction that you paint. So if you want the cracks to go up and down, you paint up and down. If you want it to go across, you paint it across. Alright, now for this, I believe I want it to crackle up and down because I want it to look like it's gotten wet and weathered and aged that way. So I am just going to start brushing on. Also, another thing you need to remember with this is the heavier you apply it, the thicker your cracks will be. So in places that you want thicker cracks, you add more medium. In places that you want thinner cracks, you add less. Then I'm just going to give this one good coat all the way across all the pink areas. And then I'm going to leave it anywhere from 15 to 45 minutes. You just have to keep checking it. When it's tacky, that is the time you want to start applying your final coat of paint. Alright, now I went through and I tried to take away a little bit of the crackle medium in certain spots so that there's a few places that I have a thinner layer, so I'll get the finer cracks. I don't want it to be too uniform because I do want it to look aged. Now we're just going to go ahead and let this set, and I'll come back and check it every few minutes until it's to the proper point. Okay, this has been sitting here about 20 minutes. It is tacky to the touch, so I'm going to move on to the next step, which is giving it another coat of paint. And for this one, I'm using an antique white. Again, I'm just going to paint a smooth, even coat over the top of this. You want to be sure you have enough paint because this is going to be a single coat application. And you should see it start crackling very quickly as I start going and adding the paint to the top. A little bit tricky with all these curves to get this on there, but you can see how it's starting to crackle already right in there. It's a little bit awkward to try to get in here out of the way of the camera so you can see as well. But there you can see the crackles starting to happen. I absolutely love this effect. All right, now that is crackling beautifully. I'm just going to go ahead and let this set and dry, let the crackle finish, and I'm going to go ahead and print off the label that I'm going to use to decorate the front of this. Okay, now that the paint is dry, I've also taken it outside and sprayed it with some satin sealer. So we're ready to move on to the next step. I printed out these water slide decals. This one is going to go here. This one is going to go here. Now this one I'm going to have a little bit of trouble with this hole here, but I'm just going to work around that, cut around it, and get it sealed down once it dries. So that will be the next step, and I'll show you how to use the water slide decals. However, I printed these without mirroring them, so these will be backwards if I place them on my planter like this. So these I can't use. I had to go back, reprint them so that they are mirrored images of what I want them to say. Would not have been such a big deal if they were just pictures. Wouldn't have bothered me at all. But words, you just can't do that with. So now we're going to go ahead and move on and get these prepared to put down on our planter. Now there's two ways you can do this. The first one, I'm going to stick into the water and let it soak up the water and get ready to lay down on our planter here. So this will just take a couple minutes. Actually feels like it's close to ready now. Doesn't take very long when you stick it in the water. Put a little bit of water over the area where I'm going to lay it. And then very carefully I'm going to lay it out, centering it on the front where I want it to be. I have to ignore my hair. I don't know how that got on there. Anyway, that hair's not going to bother anything. I'm going to hold this down for a minute. Let the water soak into it. Get a little bit more water on my rag here. It's pretty dry. And we'll see if this is ready to, and it's ready to slide off. Let's give it another minute or two. It's not sliding off quite as easy as it should yet. Go. Off it comes. Get that hair off of there. And now I'm just going to gently be sure everything is smoothed out. You want to be sure your fingers are wet when you do this, or whatever you're using is wet. You don't want to tear your water slide. And that one is on there. We just need to let that dry completely. Now for the second one, it doesn't quite fit in here, and I'll show you another technique that can be used too, where you just put the water down on the area that you are going to add your water slide to, so that it has something to adhere to. And then we're going to center that on there. Hope I got that pretty much where I want it. There's not going to be a lot of moving it. Let's get some more water on the back here. Again, just be sure you have a really wet towel for this method. Lay it down over the top and just give it some gentle pressure. And then we'll just gently peel off our backing. Okay, and then again, just be sure we have everything sealed. We have all the water out of the back. Just looks like there's some air bubbles in there somehow. All right, now for this hole here, I'm going to try to take my knife and just cut around that. And I may be better off waiting until this is dry. I do not know. We're going to see what happens here. I would rather do this wet so it lays down really smoothly. There we go. It's wet, it's sticky, but it's off. All right, and there we go. That we just have to let it dry and it'll be ready to hang.